Shalom and welcome to Scripture 365. We are doing the 12 minor prophets. We are in Amos. So let's open up our scriptures to Amos chapter 1, starting at verse 1. The word of Amos, who was among the herdsmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, sovereign of Yehudah, and in the days of Jeroboam, son of Joash, sovereign of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. And he said, Yahweh roars from Zion and gives forth his voice from Jerusalem, and the pastures of the shepherds shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither. Thus says Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Damascus, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they thresh Gilead with threshing implements of iron. But I shall send fire upon the house of Hosea, and it shall consume the palace of Ben-Hadad. And I shall break the bar of Damascus, and cut off the inhabitants from the valley of On, and the one who holds the scepter from Beth Eden, and the people of Aram shall go exiled to Kir, said Yahweh. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Asa, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they took into exile an entire exile, to surrender it to Edom. But I shall send fire upon the wall of Asa, and it shall consume its palaces, and I shall cut off the inhabitants from Ashdod, and the one who holds the scepter from Ashkelon, and I shall turn my hand against Ekron, and the remnant of the Philistines shall perish, said the Adon, Yahweh. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Zoar, and of 4 I do not turn it back, because they surrendered an entire exile to Edom, and did not remember the brotherly covenant. But I shall send fire upon the wall of Zoar, and it shall consume its palaces. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because he pursued his brother with the sword, and cast off all compassion, and his displeasure tore instantly, and he kept his wrath forever. But I shall send fire upon Taman, and it shall consume the palaces of Boshra. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they ripped open the pregnant women of Gilead to enlarge their border. So I shall kindle a fire upon the wall of Rabbah, and it shall consume its palaces with a shout in the day of battle, with a storm in the day of the whirlwind. And their sovereign shall go into exile, he and his heads together, said Yahweh. Chapter 2. Thus says Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Moab, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because he burned the bones of the sovereign of Edom to lime. But I shall send fire upon Moab, and it shall consume the palaces of Querioth, and Moab shall die amid uproar, with a cry and with the sound of a ram's horn. And I shall cut off the judge from its midst, and slay all its heads with him, said Yahweh. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Yehudah, and 4 I do not turn it back, because they have rejected the Torah of Yahweh, and did not guard his laws, and their lies after which their fathers walked led them astray. But I shall send fire upon Yehudah, and it shall consume the palaces of Jerusalem. Thus says Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Israel, and for I do not turn it back, because they sell the righteous for silver, and the poor for a pair of sandals, who crush the head of the poor ones in the dust of the earth, and turn aside the way of the meek, and the man and his father go into the same girl to defile my Kodesh name. As I said before, Kodesh means holy. And they lie down by every altar on garments taken in pledge, and in the house of the mighty one they drink the wine of those who have been fined. Yet I destroyed the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars, and he was as strong as the oak. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above, and his roots from beneath, and I brought you up from the land of Mizraim. Mizraim is Egypt, and led you 40 years through the wilderness to possess the land of the Amorite. And I raised up some of your sons as Nebiim, or prophets, or seers, and some of you, your young men as Nazarites. Not so, O you children of Israel, declares Yahweh, but you made the Nazarites drink wine, and commanded the Nebiim, saying, do not nabal, or do not prophesy. So I am weighed down by you, as a wagon is weighed down when filled with sheaves, and the place to flee shall perish from the swift and the strong, not strengthen his power, and the mighty not save his life. And he who handles the bow not stand, and the swift of foot not save, nor he who rides a horse save his life. And the brave among the mighty flee naked in that city, declares Yahweh. Chapter 3. Here is the word that Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the entire clan which I brought up from the land of Mizraim, saying, you alone have known of all the clans of the earth, therefore I punish you for all your wickedness. Will 2 walk together without having met? Does a lion roar in the forest when he has no prey? Does a young lion give forth his voice out of his den unless he has caught? Does a bird fall into the snare on the earth where there is no trap for it? Does a snare spring up from the earth if it has not captured prey? If a ram's horn is blown in the city, do the people not tremble? If there is calamity in the city, shall not Yahweh have done it? For Adon Yahweh does no matter unless he reveals his secret to his servants the Nebiim. A lion has roared, who is not afraid. The Adon Yahweh has spoken, who would not never. Cry out at the palaces of Ashdod, and at the palaces in the land of Mizraim, and say, gather on the mountains of Shemron, and see the many unrests in the mites, and the oppressed one within her. But they do not know to do what is right, declares Yahweh. These who store up plunder and loot in their palaces. Therefore, thus says the Adon Yahweh, any enemy, even all around the land, and he shall bring down your strength from you, and your palaces shall be plundered. Thus says Yahweh, as a shepherd rescues from the mouth of a lion 2 legs or a piece of an ear, so are the children of Israel who dwell in the Shomron, to be rescued in the corner of a bed and in Damascus on a couch. Hear and witness against the house of Jacob, declares our own Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts. For in the day I visit Israel for the transgressions, I shall also punish concerning the altars of Bethel, and the horns of the altar shall be broken, and they shall fall to the ground. And I shall smite the winter house along with the summer house, and the houses of ivory shall perish, and the great houses shall be swept away, declares Yahweh. Chapter 4. Hear this word, you cows of Bashan, who are in the mountain of Shomron, who are oppressing the poor, who are crushing the needy, who are saying to the masses, bring wine, let us drink. The Adon Yahweh has sworn by his Kodesh, see, days are coming upon you when he shall take you away with hooks, and your descendants with flesh hooks, and let you go out of the preachers, each woman before her, and you shall be cast out toward Hemron, declares Yahweh. Come to Bethel and transgress, to Gilead increase transgression, and I bring your slaughterings every morning, your tithes every 3 days, and burn an offering of thanksgiving with leaven. Proclaim voluntary offerings loudly, for you have loved this, you children of Israel, declares the Adon Yahweh. And I also gave you cleanness of teeth in all your cities, and lack of bread in all your places. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. And I also withheld rain from you 3 months before the harvest. Then I would send rain on one city, and on another city I would not send rain. One part was rained upon, and where it did not rain, that part would dry up. Then 2 of the 3 cities would wander to another city to drink water, but they were not satisfied. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. I have smitten you with blight and with mildew. The creeping locusts devoured your many gardens, and your vineyards, and your fig trees, and your olive trees, but you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. I have sent among you a place in the way of Mitzrayim. I have slain your young men with a sword, along with your captured horses, and I made the strength of your camps come up into your nostrils, but you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. I have overturned some of you, as Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and you were like a firebrand plucked from the burning. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. Therefore I am doing this to you, O Israel, and because I do this to you, prepare to meet your Elohim, O Israel. For look, he who forms mountains and creates the wind, and who declares to men that his thought is, and makes the morning darkness, and he treads the high places of the earth. Yahweh Elohim of hosts is his name. Chapter 5. Hear this word which I take up against you, this lamentation, O house of Israel. The maiden of Israel has fallen, not to rise again. She lies forsaken on her land, with no one to lift her up. For thus said the Adon Yahweh, the city that goes out by the thousands has 100 left, and that which goes out by 100 has 10 left to the house of Israel. For thus said Yahweh, the house of Israel, seek me and live. But do not seek Bethel, nor enter Gilgal, nor pass over the Beersheba, for Gilgal shall certainly go into exile, and Bethel come up to naught. Seek Yahweh and live, lest he break out like fire upon the house of Joseph, and shall consume it, and no one to quench it in Bethel. O you who are turning right ruling to wormwood, and have cast down righteousness to the earth, he who made Kimmah and Keseel, and who turns the shadow of death into morning and darkness day into night, who is calm for the waters of the sea and pours them out on the face of the earth, Yahweh is his name, who is flashing forth destruction upon the strong, so the destruction comes upon the stronghold. They hated the one who reproves in the gate, and they despise the one who speaks the truth. Therefore, because you trample on the poor and take grain taxes from him, you have built houses of hewn stone, but you are not going to dwell in them. You have planted pleasant vineyards, but not drink wine from them. For I know thy transgression are many, and your sins are great. Afflicted the righteous, and accepting bribes, and turning aside the poor at the gate. Therefore the wise keep silent at the time, for it is an evil time. Seek good and not evil, so that you live, and let Yahweh Elohim of hosts be with you, as you have spoken. Hate evil and love good, and establish right ruling in the gate. It might be that Yahweh Elohim of hosts shows favor to the remnant of Joseph. Therefore Yahweh Elohim of hosts, Yahweh, said this: there is wailing in all open squares, and in all the streets they say, Alas, alas, and shall call the farmer to mourning, and skilled lamentators to wailing. And in all vineyards there is wailing, for I pass through the midst, said Yahweh. Woe to you who are longing for the day of Yahweh. What does the day of Yahweh mean to you? It is darkness and not light, as when a man flees from a lion, and the bear shall meet him. He entered his house, rested his hand on the wall, and the serpent shall bite him. It is not the day of Yahweh. Is it not the day of Yahweh, darkness and not light? Is it not very dark, with no brightness in it? I have hated, I have despised your festivals, and I am not pleased with your assemblies. So you offer me burnt offerings and your grain offerings. I do not accept them, nor do I look on your fatness, peace offerings. Take away from me the noise of your song, for I do not hear the sound of your stringed instruments, and let right ruling roll on like water, and righteousness like a mighty stream. You brought me slaughterings and meal offerings in the wilderness for 40 years, O house of Israel. But you took up Sikkuth, your servant, and Cain, your idols, your astral mighty ones, which you made for yourselves. Therefore I shall send you into exile beyond Damascus, said Yahweh Elohim of hosts, his name. Chapter 6. Woe to those at ease in Zion, and those trusting in Mount Shamron, the distinguished ones among the chief of the nations, to whom the house of Israel comes. Pass over the Calneh and see, and from there go to Hamath, the Great. Then go down to Gath of the Perishites. Are you better than these reigns, or is their border greater than your border? You who are putting off the day of evil, yet bring near the seed of violence. Who are lying on beds of ivory, and you stretch out on your couches, and are eating lambs from the flock and calves from the midst of the stall. Who sing idly to the sound and the harp, having composed songs for themselves, like David, who are drinking wine from bowls and anointed with the finest ointments, yet have they not grieved over the breach of Joseph? Therefore they shall now go into exile with the first of the exiles, and the feasting of the stretched out ones shall cease. The Adon Yahweh has sworn by himself, Adon Elohim of hosts declares, I am loathing the pride of Jacob, and I have hated his palaces. Therefore I shall deliver up the city and all that is in it. And it shall be that if 10 men remain in one house, they shall die. And if a relative or his undertaker brings the remains out of the house, he shall say to one inside the house, Is anyone with you? And he says, No. Then he shall say, Hush, for we have not remembered the name of Yahweh. For look, Yahweh is commanding, and he shall smite the great house with breaches, and the little house with clefts. Do horses run on a rock? Does one plow it with oxen? For you have turned right ruling into poison, and the fruit of righteousness into wormwood. You who are rejoicing over a matter of naught, who say, Have we not taken horns for ourselves by our own strength? For look, I am raising up a nation against you, O house of Israel, declares Yahweh Elohim of hosts, and they shall oppress you from the entrance of Hamath to the Wadi Arabah. Chapter 7. This is what Adon Yahweh showed me, and see, he was forming locust swarms at the beginning of the late crop, and see, it was the late crop after the mowing of the sorghum. And it shall come to be, and it came to be, when they had finished eating the grass of the land, that I said, O Adonai Yahweh, forgive, I pray. How does Jacob survive? For he is small. Yahweh relented upon this. It shall not be, said Yahweh. This is what the Adon Yahweh showed me. And see, the Adon Yahweh was calling to content by fire, and it consumed a great deep and devoured the portion. And I said, O Adon Yahweh, please stop. How does Jacob survive? For he is small. Yahweh relented concerning this. This shall not be either, said the Adon Yahweh. This is what he showed me. And see, Yahweh stood on the wall, made with a plumb line, in his hand. And Yahweh said to me, Amos, what do you see? And I said, a plumb line. And Yahweh said, See, I am putting a plumb line in the midst of my people Israel. No longer do I pardon them. And the high places of Yitzhak shall be laid waste, and the Mizraim of Israel shall be destroyed. Read this verse here. And verse 9, and the high places of Yitzhak shall be laid waste, and the Midrashim of Israel shall be destroyed, and I shall rise with the sword against the house of Jeroboam. Then Amaziah, the king of Bethel, sent to Jeroboam, sovereign of Israel, saying, Amos has conspired against you in the midst of the house of Israel. The land is not able to endure all his words. For this is what Amos said, Jeroboam shall die by the sword, and Israel certainly be exiled from their own land. And Amaziah said to Amos, Go, you see, flee to the land of Yehudah, and eat bread and nabba there. But do not nabba any more at Bethel, for it is the sovereign's Mikdash, and it is the house of his reign. And Amos answered and said to him, Amaziah, I am not a Nabi, nor am I a son of a Nabi, for I am a herdman and a grower of sycamore figs. But Yahweh took me from behind the flock, and Yahweh said to me, Go, nabba to my people Israel. And now hear the word of Yahweh. You are saying, Do not nabba against Israel, and do not preach against the house of Yitzhak. Therefore, thus said Yahweh, your wife shall become a whore in the city, and your sons and your daughters fall by the sword, and your land be divided by the measuring line, and you die in the defiled land, and Israel shall certainly be exiled from this land. Chapter 8. This is what the Adon Yahweh said to me, and see a basket of summer fruit. And he said, Amos, what do you see? And I said, a basket of summer fruit. And Yahweh said to me, the end has come upon my people Israel. No longer do I pardon them, and the song of Haggai shall be wailing in the day. Therefore, declares the Adon Yahweh, many dead bodies everywhere thrown into any place. Hush. Hear this, you who are swallowing up the needy, to do away with all the poor of the land, saying, when does the new moon pass, so that we sell grain, and the Sabbath, so that we trade our wheat, to make the ephah small and the shekel large, and to falsify the scales by deceit, to buy the poor for silver and the needy for a pair of sandals, and sell the chaff of the wheat. Yahweh has sworn by the excellency of Jacob, I shall never forget any of their works. I shall the land not tremble for this, and everyone mourn who dwells in it, and all that it shall swell like a river, heave and subside like a river of Mizraim. And it shall be in that day, declares Adon Yahweh, that I shall cause the sun to go down at noon, and shall darken the earth in the day of brightness, and shall turn your festivals into mourning, and all your songs into lamentation, and bring sackcloth on all loins and baldness on your heads, and shall make it like mourning for an only son, and its end like a day of bitterness. See, days are coming, declares Adon Yahweh, that I shall send a hunger in the land, not a hunger for bread, nor a thirst for water, but for hearing the words of Yahweh, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from north to east. They shall diligently search, seeking the word of Yahweh, but they shall not find it. In that day, the pretty maidens and strong young men shall faint from thirst, those swearing by the guilt of Shemron, who say, As your mighty one lives, O Dan, and as the way of Bathsheba lives, and they shall fall and never rise again. Chapter 9. I saw Yahweh standing by the altar, and he said, smite the column head, so that the thresholds shake and break them off by the heads. All of them, and the last of them I slay with the sword. Not one of them fleeing gets away, and not one fugitive of them escapes. If they dig into the grave, from there my hands take them. And if they climb up to the Shemayim, which is heaven, from there I bring them down. As if they hide themselves on top of Carmel, from there I shall search and take them. And if they hide from before my eyes at the bottom of the sea, from there I shall command the serpent, and it shall bite them. And if they go into captivity before their enemies, from there I shall command the sword, and it shall slay them, and I shall lay my eyes on them, for evil and not for good. And the Adon Yahweh of hosts is he who touches the earth, so that it knows, and all who dwell in it mourn, and it shall, and all of it comes up like a river, and subsides like a river of Mizraim. Excuse me. Who is building his upper room in the Shemayim on the earth? Who is calling for the waters of the sea and puts them out on the face of the earth? Yahweh is his name. Are you not like the people of Cush to me, O children of Israel? Declares Yahweh. Did I not bring up Israel from the land of Mizraim, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and Aram from Or? Look, the eyes of Adon Yahweh are on the sinful rain, and I shall destroy it from the face of the earth, except that I do not completely destroy the house of Jacob, declares Yahweh. For look, I am commanding, and I shall sift the house of Jacob among all the Gentiles, as one sifts with a sieve, yet not a grain falls to the ground. All the sinners of my people are going to die, but by the sword, those who are saying, evil does not overtake us, nor meet us. In that day I shall rise up to the booth of David, which has fallen down, and I shall repair its breaches and raise up the ruins, and it shall build, and I shall build it as in the days of old, so that they possess the remnant of Edom and all the Gentiles on whom my name is called, declares Yahweh, who does this. Look, the days are coming, declares Yahweh, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes in him who sows seed, and the mountains shall drip new wine, and all the hills melt, and I shall turn back the captivity of my people Israel, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink wine from them, and shall make gardens and eat their fruit. And I shall plant them on their own land, and not uproot them any more from their own land. I have given them, said Yahweh Elohim. Amen. Praise the Lord.